Welcome back to the Horizon TV, where we speak to the newsmakers as well as ordinary people doing extraordinary things around the world and featuring the voices at the heart of the conversations. I'm Sumner Sambo, and we now move on to electoral matters. About 20 Resident Electoral Commissioners, or RECs, are to vacate their respective states between now and June this year. The RECs will be leaving their offices having completed their two-term mandates. The development will therefore create a situation where new Resident Electoral Commissioners will superintend the 2023 general elections. It is being said that no REC can serve more than 8 years, so they should be ready to leave. How will this development affect the general elections and the electoral process, including INEC itself? Well, we have with us here the INEC National Commissioner in charge of voter education and publicity. He is the chairman of that committee, actually, Barrister Festus, joining us here. Okay. Well, let's talk about how much of this will affect your institution if the needful is not done by the appointing authority, which happens to be President Muhammadu Buhari. Well,
the Commission has always been aware of this eventuality. And if you know the way the Commission is organized, in each state of the Federation, we have an administrative secretary and we have heads of department, and we have an organized structure that takes care of things in the absence of a Resident Electoral Commissioner. For instance, in Benue, as of today, it is the administrative secretary that is in charge of the commission, pending the appointment of a Resident Electoral Commissioner. But as you pointed out, there's going to be a vacuum, so to say, with so many of the Resident Electoral Commissioners leaving. There are some of them who have completed 2 terms and who are not eligible for reappointment. And there are also some who have only done 1 term and they're eligible for reappointment. So our presumption and our hope is that the appointing authority we do the needful and make sure to get some of these people either appointed on time or reappointed on time so that they can properly situate themselves within the framework of the Commission and then prepare themselves for the 2023 general election.
Can there be a situation whereby those who still have 1 term left can be rejected and not reappointed by the appointing authority?
Yes, you know, if you look at the test schedule to the Constitution, the appointing authority is the president. It is his discretion to appoint and not to appoint. It is his discretion to reappoint those who have served for 1 term. And it is also within his discretion not to reappoint them. So that power is not shared with anybody. It is exclusively reserved for the president. And then but they must go through a confirmation process in the Senate. But our hope is that whatever decision the president intends to take, that decision should be taken as quickly as possible so that the newly appointed Resident Electoral Commissioners will properly acclimatize in the Commission and also begin to understand the processes and procedures of the Commission and the way things are done in the Commission, and then know that we have a general election coming up in 2023, and that they are going to superintend that particular election in their various states.
Yeah, I mean, because your institution is a very huge institution that has a lot of tedious job to be done ahead of the 2023 elections. Now, I'm asking this because there may be a situation whereby the INEC national chairman is uncomfortable with some RECs and he may want them to be replaced. Can he, by default, suggest to the appointing authority that maybe this person didn't work very well, I want him to be replaced as a result of having seen the capacity of those RECs?
Well, if the appointing authority seeks the opinion of the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, definitely he will give his opinion in relation to the suitability or otherwise of the Resident Electoral Commissioners that have done 1 term. But the appointing authority is not under any constitutional or legal obligation to seek the opinion of the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission in making his appointment. But I'm sure that if his opinion is sought, he will have something to say, especially in relation to the capacity of the Resident Electoral Commissioners and also in relation to the way they have worked, because the Resident Electoral Commissioners are under the direction and supervision of the Commission. which is the 12 national commissioners and the chairman, making us 13. But I've not tried to find out from the chairman whether his opinion has been sought in relation to this. But I'm aware, and I'm sure that the appointing authorities are aware that the tenure of these resident electoral commissioners will soon come to an end. And there's a possibility that they're already doing something in that particular direction.
Now, I want you to tell us about the position of the resident electoral commissioner. How important is that position in the states, and why must that appointment be made now, especially for these 20 positions?
Well, you know that the 12 national commissioners and the chairman are the policy-making organ of the commission. But the resident electoral commissioners and the electoral officers are really the ones that conduct election. The elections are not conducted at the national level. Elections are conducted at the state level. So the electoral officers in all the local government areas report to the resident electoral commissioner. And the resident electoral commissioner also superintends and supervises the heads of departments who have sovereignty over the conduct of elections in their various states. So the post and position of the resident electoral commissioner is very, very key and is very fundamental in the proper functioning of the states and also in the proper conduct of election. We expect, for instance, a resident electoral commissioner to visit all the local government areas, motivate the staff, give directions and give directives to the electoral officers who are more or less the managing directors of election in their various local governments. So the resident electoral commissioner is key, and it is the resident electoral commissioner that reports to the commission in relation to the day-to-day running of the affairs of the commission in their various states.
A lot of Nigerians will be surprised why over 20 of them are going just, I mean, a few months before the next, less than a year before the next general election. Why did we have such a situation occurring like this?
Well, it is the same situation we have with our general election. During the 2023 general election, the commission will only conduct governorship election in 28 states because our elections have been staggered. We have elections in Ekiti in June, and we have elections in Osun in July. So the implication is that in 2023, no election will take place in those places. Now, our resident electoral commissioner for Benue State resigned, and then the president has not appointed and nor has been sworn in to replace him. So the implication is that whoever is appointed now will run a different tenure from the other resident electoral commissioners. There are resident electoral commissioners whose tenure will expire after the 2023 general elections.
That's because they have secured tenure.
Exactly. And if you look at Section 6 of the new of the 2022 of the Electoral Act 2022, the tenure of resident electoral commissioners going forward has been made 5 years. So the ones that are going to be appointed now will have a 5-year tenure, and then their tenure will expire differentially. If a resident electoral commissioner resigns and a new one is appointed, the tenure becomes differential. For instance, if you look at the commission now, my own tenure is differential because I was appointed in between the two sets of national commissioners. So the day I'm leaving the commission, I'm working out alone. I'm not working out.
Yeah, I mean, that's just what I wanted to ask. If you are going to benefit from that new tenure.
No. The tenure of national commissioners is imputed and embedded in the Constitution itself. Okay. But the tenure of resident electoral commissioners is embedded in the Electoral Act 2022.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, there are also fears that the ruling party now may want to influence those who will be appointed as resident electoral commissioner and all of that. How will you assure Nigerians that this process will not be politicized by the party that is in power to its own favor?
Well, those of us who are national commissioners and the commission, we don't have any advice to give in relation to this, and we don't have any input in relation to this. The Constitution did not make any political party as the appointing authority for resident electoral commissioners. The Constitution gives that particular power exclusively and alone to the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
But the President is the product of a political party,
yes,
which is ruling the country.
Now it also says that in making that appointment, before the appointment becomes absolute, the appointee must also go to the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, which is also made up of individuals from different political parties, and that they must screen and vet these appointees in relation to their suitability, because the Constitution says that before you can be appointed as a resident electoral commissioner, you must be 35 years of age at least. 2, you must be somebody of unquestionable character, and you must not belong to a political party. And that you must be answerable to the commission. So it is when this thing goes to the Senate, if the Senate finds out that somebody is a card-carrying member of a political party or has some political affiliation, then it is now their responsibility to screen and vet and then advise the president appropriately. But the decision on who gets appointed and who does not get appointed resides exclusively with the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Well, that's very interesting to hear. Let's talk about INEC as an institution. How prepared is this institution to deliver a credible election that will be acceptable to all Nigerians next year? Have you done all your logistics arrangement very well? How are the party preparation for the party primaries going on? Because you have to monitor each of those primaries. And how about mobilizing Nigerians who will serve as ad hoc staff to help you deliver that mandate of giving Nigerians a credible election next year?
Well, you see, this commission conducts elections all year round. As of today, we are preparing to conduct the governorship election in Ekiti, which is coming up on the 18th day of June this year. We're also preparing for the conduct of the Osun governorship election, which will come up on the 16th day of July this year. And then we also have some by-elections in different states of the Federation. In some of them, vacancies have been declared. In some of them, vacancies have not been declared. In some of them, there are some security issues around them that we are going to discuss with some of the political parties and some of the security agencies when we meet with them next week. So we are preparing for these two big elections. Big
elections first.
We are also preparing for the 2023 general election, because we have to prepare for all these things simultaneously. So for the Ekiti and Osun governorship election, we already have vesting the ad hoc staff that we serve in these elections, and we are almost virtually prepared for those two elections. Now for the general election, as you are aware, last week we launched our election project plan and all the other plans that we are going to use for the conduct of the 2023 general election, because as far as the commission is concerned, no activity is too small to be planned. So we are planning, and we are planning well. In relation to the party primaries, we have the capacity to monitor all the party primaries, and we're already monitoring them. And we have the experience from other primaries that we have monitored previously. So we are doing well in relation to our preparations, and we are confident that with the passage of the Electoral Act 2022, and also with the type of preparations we are doing, and also with the level of technology we have imputed into the electoral process, that we are going to conduct a very good election in 2023.
Yeah, and I'm asking you about these party primaries, because if you see some of the presidential primaries, how some of the bigger parties have put them, they're almost close to the deadline, the June 3rd deadline you've put. Would there be any chance of you extending it? I've seen a statement you issued earlier on warning political parties to adhere to the guideline you have set. But having party primaries close to the deadline, a day or two before the deadline, a lot of persons are worried that some of these parties may not meet the deadlines, and they will put INEC in the middle.
INEC will not be in the middle. The commission will not engage in mud fight with any political party. We released our timetable and schedule of activities and made it available to all the registered political parties. We've told them that they must conduct their party primaries in April and then end on the 3rd of June. All of them are aware. Today, we also reminded them of the terminal period for the conduct of their party primaries. And we have told the political parties that the period set in our timetable and schedule of activities are fixed and firm, and we are not going to change them.
Can you confirm those dates?
The dates for the conduct of party primaries?
No, specifically for the presidential polls, because that's where I have problem with APC, especially which thinks maybe because it's the ruling party, it can shift its own close to the June 3rd deadline. And it may put INEC in a difficult position if anything happens and there's a runoff.
It has nothing to do with us. Whether a political... Look, it is within the discretionary remit of a political party to conduct party primaries or not to conduct party primaries. It is within their discretion to field candidates for any position or not to field candidates for any position. But the truth of the matter is that if any political party conducts its primaries on the 4th of June, the implication is that that party has no candidate in the election. And I want to tell you that within the confines and institutional framework of the commission, the 18 registered political parties have the same incidence of registration. So in the commission, there's no big party and there's no small party. All of them are political parties registered within the framework of the constitution and the law. And so if a political party likes, it can conduct party primaries and submit list of candidates. If it doesn't like, it may even conduct primaries and then refuse to submit the list of candidates. It has nothing to do with the commission. But the day, the deadline in our timetable and schedule of activities elapses, we won't do business with any political party. Okay,
it's so good to see how very confident you are about this, because I was asking that question due to what has happened previously in the past. I mean, we've had other party primaries, for example, in the aborted Third Republic, when the SDP held its election. You could see that there was a runoff during the presidential primaries. And it was only by a stroke of luck that someone had to be asked to step down, for example, for Abiola to emerge and all of that. If not, they could have gone for runoff. And if you have a party, I mean, the ruling party putting its primaries just close to 2 days before deadline, I mean, if there's runoff, what will happen? Well, I just want you to address very quickly the issue of the implementation of the Electoral Act. How easy has it been for INEC? Are there any loopholes you're already seeing? Would you be calling for any emergency amendment as we head to the 2023 poll, or it's a good document that's good to go to help you out?
Well, the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission has said it publicly that the Electoral Act 2022 is a very progressive document. There is no document that is perfect for all times. But I believe that we should give the new Electoral Act time for it to be tested. It has not been tested yet. But as far as the commission is concerned, it contains a lot of progressive provisions that we aid in the conduct of a good election. So we are comfortable with the Electoral Act as of today.
Interesting indeed. And we can only wish you well as you prepare for the election, because this is a succession presidency. A lot of Nigerians are anxious, including new voters. But I also would want to hear from you very briefly in 30 seconds what the CVR, the Continuous Voters Registration, is looking like at the moment. The more people are coming out to register, and we are comfortable with the successes we have achieved so far. If the youth of this country play their game very well, the 2023 election will be decided by the youth of this country. How about the Imo incident, where we saw some killings here and there because they don't want election to happen, and so they don't want people to vote, to do voter registration?
Well, in the 3 local governments of Osun, Njaba, and Ihituboma, we suspended the CVR in those 3 local governments. But in the other local governments, the CVR is going on in the state and local government offices. So hopefully, if the situation improves, we will revisit the issue.
Okay, Almost, thank you so much. Festus Okoye is a lawyer and the National Commissioner and Chairman of Information and Voter Education Committee of Nigeria's electoral body, the Independent National Electoral Commission. Almost, thank you so much for joining us, helping us to look at these critical issues and giving assurance that if the appointing authority does what's needful, the issues of 20 recs wouldn't be a problem ahead of the 2023 polls. Thank you so much for joining us on the show. Well, that's how it's been for this edition of the Arise interview. Do join us again tomorrow from me and the entire team here in Abuja. Goodbye and thank you for watching. I'm Somna Sambo.